Hello and welcome to the Hypnosis Academy. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to help this channel, please subscribe. Please click the like button, and it just helps to move the channel along and spread the word. Today I'm talking about the ups and the not so ups of being a therapist. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So I've been doing therapy for about, let's say, 20 years. Maybe not quite as much. And why did I get into it? Well, I have a feeling that this might resonate with you because you might be in the same boat. But I went into therapy because I knew that I'd been put on this earth to help other people. I just knew. I had this tremendous urge to help people. Okay? Almost to the point where I don't think it was balanced. I thought I wanted to help people too much. I was too interested in helping people. However, I got that balanced out a little bit more. And now I love helping people. But I love helping people who want to be helped. Before, because I loved helping people so much, I forced people to let me help them. Much to their upset and much to my wasted time. So, like everybody, I got into it because, man, I just wanted to be able to have some tools. I wanted some tools to be able to help. I'd always tried to help people. But you know, there's only so much you can do when you only have an X amount of tools. So I started NLP and then hypnosis because I wanted to do hypnosis, but I wasn't allowed to do hypnosis until I'd done the NLP course. So I did it by default, had to do it. But I wanted the hypnosis. But I'm ever so pleased I did the NLP, for goodness sake, I'm ever so pleased. So I did that, and then I went on to study just endlessly, I wanted as many techniques as I could in my tool bag. And then I started very quickly to do therapy. To be honest, I started with EFT. That was the first therapy that I used. And it was very successful, to a point. So one of the downs of being a therapist is that sometimes it doesn't work. And that for me was anathema. The idea of me working with somebody and not being able to help them was so overwhelmingly bad for me that I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to be a failure, to fail. Yeah? You've got to get over that pretty quickly, because when you do therapy, there's a contract that's being set up between you and the client. You have to do your part, and the client has to do their part. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes there's not that feeling, there's not that rapport. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes the tools that you have aren't the tools that the client needs. And sometimes, on very rare occasions, the client resists what you're doing. But you know what I hear? I hear that used, by the way, just as an aside. They were a resistant client. I think you're being resistant, right? That smacks to me as my processes aren't working on you, and therefore I'm going to blame you. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. There's an expression, there are no resistant clients, there are only incapable therapists. That's rubbish as well. That just blame the therapist. No, it's a contract. It's a contract. Who are resistant clients? I've had them. I've had resistant clients. They're the ones whose wife has told them that if they don't get therapy, they're going to get a divorce. They come to see me because their wife wants them to get therapy. Rubbish. They're not interested. I'm not interested. Nobody's interested. They're resistant because they didn't come because of their own motivation. When somebody comes to see you, typically, like 99.99% of the time, they're paying you money and they've chosen to come to you because they've got no other option. They've tried all the other stuff. Trust me, when people come to you, they've tried just about everything, right? And you are the last ditch hope. Okay, no pressure then. So, an up of being a therapist is this. When you help somebody, when you see somebody improve, it's the best feeling you can possibly get within your purpose. If your purpose is helping people, it's the best feeling you can get. And I'm going to tell you something else to add to that. When you help somebody, the law of karma, the karmic law, steps in. When you help somebody, the universe helps you. Right? Not only that, but your unconscious mind helps you too, because you're being true to your purpose. But it's all in the same mix for me. When you are being true to yourself, when you are helping because you truly want to help, the universe helps you. It rewards you. And the metaphor that I use is, imagine you're on a circular train track, you're between the train carriages, you push the train forward, but the train covers the entire track, and as you push it forward, it pushes into you. That's how the universe works. The only thing I would add to that is, if you push one carriage forward, 5 carriages get pushed back into you. It's beautiful. It's the law, the karmic law. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. It's the golden rule. Treat others as you would have them treat you. Do no harm. Do good. So that's, above all, I would think, out of everything that I've gained from working with people, that's number one. That the gift that therapy gives you for doing therapy and helping people, helping this world, helping people to get on track, is just beautiful. It leaves you feeling very full, right? Fulfilled. You know that word, fulfilled? You're full and you're filled to overflowing, right? So that's very positive on the therapy side. On the downside, you are going to hear horror stories. The plus of that is that whatever thing you think has happened to you that's been pretty bad, whatever you think that your childhood was, and terrible, you do a few years of therapy and then your experience is going to seem like nothing. As we use the expression we would use in the northeast of England is, your experience is going to seem like a piece of piss compared to some of the stories. There are times when I have to shut my mouth because I'm aware that it's gaping open as somebody's telling me a story, and I'm like that. Now, that's not good. That's not a good face for a therapist. So you've got to kind of... But on the inside, my face is like that. Be prepared. The downside of it is that it can mark you if you don't take the preparations to keep yourself safe from that. Because people are going to give you a wave of emotion, and you must be prepared for it. Does that mean that you've got to be made of steel? No. I would say that in general, I cry 2 or 3 times out of 10 with my clients. 2 or 3 times. And I cry often when they're in hypnosis, because in hypnosis, that's when you see the most spontaneous, genuine shows of emotion, and often very strong. But what happens is, in hypnosis, you're connected to the person. You're connected to them. And so what happens is that you feel that wave of emotion. And so very often the person's there and they're crying, and when it catches me, when I'm not expecting it. So we say something and then go, ooh, and it isn't once they're crying, I'm fine. It's that burst. And it's a burst, you can feel it like a burst of energy. Even through a screen, it doesn't matter. It's still very tangible. And sometimes that makes me cry. However, the upside is they've got their eyes closed, they're in hypnosis, they've got no problem with a little pause. And so what I do is I just pause and I wipe my eyes, take a few breaths, and then I say, that's right, just let that happen. Okay? So the downside is that you're going to be faced with some horror stories, and you're going to be faced with a tremendous amount of emotion. Prepare yourself for it. Prepare yourself. If you're very susceptible to that, then you need to do even more preparation. So at the beginning, I would surround myself in a wall of protection, a light circle around me, right? And every now and again, I'll put that back. I normally don't need to, but every now and again, I'll put that back just so that I'm not being, if it's very, very intense. But I don't mind feeling a bit of connection with a lot of connection with my client. When my client's in hypnosis with me, I on purpose go into hypnosis with them, and I'm connected with them. And so in, for example, past life regression, very often I see what they see. Okay. What, is it my imagination just inventing it? Who knows? But I see what they see, and sometimes I see what they're going to see before they see it. How about that? But that comes with time and practice, okay? But be very careful. The other upside of therapy is this. Very few people make their full money working in therapy. So what I mean by that is the people like us who are alternative therapists, it's not often that we will earn all of our income from therapy. So therapy becomes a hobby. It's a hobby. And so, for example, in my case, I teach Spanish, that's my hobby, and I work in it. So I'm working in my hobby, and they say that if you can work in your hobby, you'll never work again. So therapy is my hobby. So it's even better. So I work, let's say in therapy, I might work 10 hours a week, 12 hours a week. I'm very satisfied with that. That's beautiful for me. That's lovely. And that's where I choose to leave it. Some people need to earn more money, but it takes time to build up your therapy business. It isn't something that's going to grow overnight, unless you have one of those wonderful viral videos and everybody wants to be there. But even then, that dies down, and where you get your clients from, of like doing things like this, and also from word of mouth. Yeah. So it takes time. Again, therapy, alternative therapy, is not looked on as being a valid therapy. I mean, hypnosis is still not accepted as kind of mainstream yet. I mean, it's only been around for more than a century. Yeah. So if you're using, energy healing and Reiki and all of that, forget it. We're not going to be mainstream until we get to the place where all of these therapies are going to be accepted as mainstream. So what that means is that people will view you as an alternative therapist. That means if you listen on the mainstream drivel, when they interview somebody, they want an expert, they'll get a psychologist. Yeah? They'll get a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they'll talk very learnedly about things. Very rarely do they say, and we're going to call in an alternative therapist. So the downside of our role is that maybe we won't be taken too seriously by those who don't matter anyway. Yeah. However, if you do a good job with your client, you'll be taken very seriously by your client. I'm proud to say, I suppose, that many of my clients have now become what I would call friends. They're friends. Why? Because can you imagine talking to somebody over and over again about the most intimate things in their life, the most personal things? You get to know them, and finally you discover that all these people are so lovely, and they've had hard times and life hasn't been easy for them, and you grow friendships, and it's a beautiful thing. In my opinion, being a therapist is probably the best thing that you could possibly do in your life. If it's your calling, not if you think, well, I have to do something, I'll be a therapist. No, if it's your calling, and you know if it's your calling, if you are put here to help people. And you know what kind of help. Lots of people are put here to help people, but not through therapy. But you know when you see somebody in a bad way, and inside you just hear yourself saying, I want to help this person. There must be something I can do. Let me help this person. Let me help this person. That's the signal. That's what I felt all of my life. All of my life. That's why I was fascinated with hypnosis when I was small. I was fascinated. What can you do with hypnosis? You can help people. Yeah? So, the ups of being a therapist are immeasurable. They're beautiful. The downs aren't really downs. They're just things that you have to be aware of. You have to be aware of. But the benefits outweigh the negatives 1,000,000 to 1. So I would recommend it. And you don't need to start big. Start small. Start small. Okay? I'm just working on all of the courses that I've done. I'm putting them into an editable form, and I'm going to start offering them from the website so that you can start to build up your toolbox if you haven't attended my courses before, and you just download it and do it at home. Okay? All right. I love you all. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.